and I am the cure. I am the peace and I am the rain. I am the battle and the pain. I am the love, I am the kiss, I am the fight, and I am the fist that set your world on fire. 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 You can't look in my eyes. You want to look away. It's all just dark and light. It's all just night and day. Faces look familiar, but they all look the same. I don't recognize you. I don't recognize you.
Pumping and dumping, manipulate the market, flooded from the darknet, flooded from the deep web, keep it a secret. Every exchange got the nerdy brains trading on the frequent.
Hello everyone, and the INCENT works again. Give us a moment. We just want to make sure the sound works. And the first reward's coming up now. Okay, so the sound does work. Yay! Yay, everybody. Hello. Wow, okay, so the INCENT reward is a lot, that's what she says, a lot bigger than I thought it was. Let's put down a respectable size. Let's put that right there. Okay. Anyhow, welcome everyone to the DEFCON 201. I can't drink. That's why Hydration Squad. Here comes the first reward. There you go. Type that in to get.incent.com or scan the little barcode and you can get some awesome cryptocurrency. Speaking of cryptocurrency, welcome to the DEFCON 201 live stream. I'm known on the interwebs, besides for my crazy hair, as Sidepocket. I'm one of the two co-founders of DEFCON 201. We are a computer hacker group in Jersey City, New Jersey, and one of these days we will actually stream on time, aka there'll be a day where we set up and there'll be no errors. But if you want to know more about our activities and who we are and what we do, and our meetings there for every month, which the last meeting of the year will be next month, on December 18th, that would be that Friday, you can go to our website, defcon21.org. We're also all over social media. You can find us on defcon21nj. We're also known as defcon201 on Instagram and GitHub and everything. And in fact, let me type this in chat here, social links, and then we're going to type in our link tree. And if you go to this link, or if you go to our website, which is www.defcon201.org, you will be able to go in and find us all over the different types of social media here. Let me also try to find a certain thing here that I thought was here, but I guess is not here. Give me one moment. Why do you not want to? No, don't do that. It's just computers, right? You know, you try to do the right thing, and then they just go berserk on you. Well, anyhow, let's kind of get into this. So, just want to remind everyone, and I'm going to retype this in again. So, charity link. We're going to get to the meat and potatoes in a moment, and this is going to drive me crazy because it's not going to be the most coding I've ever done, nor is it going to be the most amount of coding and command line stuff that you will ever see on Crypto Barons. But this is going to be like a giant thing. But one of the things we've been doing all month, it's going to go on either, it might end at November 30th, it might end on December 4th, but we are doing a charity run this entire time, and our charity is RAIN, which stands for Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. Now, I know that's a huge bunch of loaded terms right there, but basically, we are trying to combat sexual abuse all across this nation because, unfortunately, it's an insanely common thing that happens that should not be a common thing. We're trying to raise money to prevent that. Now, if you're on Twitch, you can scroll down and find a widget there to donate. If you're on DLive, hello everyone out there on DLive and YouTube and Facebook. We got you, fam. Here is the link to donate in chat. Now, we're only $10 away from halfway to our goal, which will make me really excited if we get that. But even if you have $1, $3, $5, two people donate $5, that would be $10. That will make me happy because, one, as you can see with that link, it's handled through Tiltify. We do not touch any of this money. We're responsible people at Crypto Barons, unlike most people in the cryptocurrency world. But second of all, is that even if we don't make our goal of the 400, all the money that's been donated, all the money that you will donate to this, if you choose to, will go to prevent sexual abuse from men, women, and children across the nation anyhow. So that is not processed by us. It gets sent off, so don't worry about us being quotas. Just please help your fellow human being out, especially in the time of COVID and crazy elections and civil unrest, and do so. We also get notifications for them. And if you like this show and you can't wait for a meeting, you want to see some of our other shows, such as Hack All and Commander, which, if I remember correctly, should be coming on. Let's see, we had one last time, so it should be December 9th, or G.I. Jack with Archfile Linux Perspective, where he talks about Arch Linux, which should be coming back sometime soon. We're still trying to figure out dates because we have a bunch of live specials that we are going to be doing in December. A lot, actually. I'm kind of shocked how much. We had like 2, and then other people asked us for stuff, and then it really lined up. But in addition to the Tiltify donations to the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, aka RAIN, if you follow us, hit that bell, like, comment, subscribe to us on Twitch, DLive, YouTube, or Facebook. Well, not Facebook yet, but Twitch, DLive, or YouTube. Or you want to send us lemons via DLive, or you want to send us, what do you call it? Yeah, lemons via DLive, or you want to send us, I almost forgot what the, God, I really need water today. I almost forgot what they're called on Twitch. Bits or super chats on YouTube. We get notifications for all those. So if you do follow us, you will see a notification. Same thing if you donate lemons or bits and donate to the charity that's above. And we'll see a little bar raised. Logos will pop over, kind of like the INCENT stuff, and I will cheer everyone on. So let's, while I try to check something real quick that I just realized I unfortunately didn't check, let me explain what the show is. So every second and fourth Saturday, we do a show here that's called Crypto Barons. What is Crypto Barons? Well, simply, okay, I guess I'm going to have to deal with that. Crypto Barons is a show where we talk about cryptocurrency and blockchain technologies as technologies. We do get a little bit into community, and we also do occasionally get into a bit with finances. However, we're here to be like, hey, how does a blockchain work? That was our first episode. We coded a blockchain from scratch. Took forever, but we did it. What makes this blockchain unique? What sort of technologies they implemented? What type of encryption does it implement? Is it a good thing? Is it a snake oil thing? If it's a snake oil thing, what makes it a snake oil thing? And what do you look for to look out for snake oil type stuff? Things like that. So that's what we do on Crypto Barons. And this episode is something I've been really excited for because I hope everyone out there had a good Thanksgiving. And also, I hope everyone sat at home and bought nothing on Buy Nothing Day because, boy, do we hate Black Friday at DEFCON 201 here. So we followed the Adbusters tradition of buying nothing and not subscribing into Black Friday, hence why the awesome blockchain that I'm currently wearing. But another thing to remember, and we're going to get into this, is Thanksgiving is basically, while most people think of it as a fun family get together, uh, it's also a horrible tragedy where people in the United States came in and just annihilated an entire group of people that originally were here and said, F you, we got ours from you, and screwed all of them over. And those are the Indigenous and Native Americans in this continent. So I thought this would be a fun kind of timely thing for that. We're gonna get into bits of that, which is there is a indigenous made cryptocurrency, or at least there was. It hasn't really had much activity recently, but it's called MazaCoin. And what's one of the very unique things about MazaCoin, besides that it's indigenous made, is that it was one of the first cryptocurrencies, because this is going to get a lot more common, where you actually have, in order to install the wallet and the blockchain and to download the blockchain and everything, you have to interface with IPFS. Wow, this is going to be the episode where I can't drink. Every time I live stream, my nose goes all crazy, or I start salivating, or just something's wrong. I'm going to have to go on a break at one point. But MazaCoin uses IPFS, and I thought this would be a great way to like we try to do on the show a lot, to educate everyone out there through a cryptocurrency, hence the title Crypto Barons, to educate people with that via looking at a piece of blockchain that uses a really cool hacking technology. So without further ado, let's try to get into that. And we're going to be doing some crazy stuff, and we'll cross your fingers because we hope everything works. So let's get to the chat screen here. So just realized, and I just want to make sure that, okay, so I have to, there's a little tiny bit of caretaking I need to do here. First of all, let's restore the Crypto Barons logo to its full glory here. And the other thing is, hopefully my bank account or my nudes or whatever is not on here, because I completely forgot to check which browser currently the browser is looking at. So we're going to find out by clicking it on. Okay, we're on the right browser. Yay. Okay, so we're on track for everything. So that's at least good. So let's go right into conversation today. So as I also described before, this is our website here. We're only $10 away from our goal. This is the page here. So far, the people who have donated is Scratch Driver, Neosed, Delta Demona, Lithochasm, Syntax, Anonymous, 6 ARGV201, Nick99Knack, and Neodes, with Syntax donating the most and yelling out "Hack the Planet." They have all donated so far. If you want to be on that list, we like to do kind of cool special things for people who actually donated on here. Not necessarily like prizes, but just like cool interactions. Please donate. You don't even have to donate the 20. We would love $50 or $20, but like $10, or if two people donated $5, we just want to reach our halfway goal. Even if you donate $1, there's still $1 more for trying to combat sexual abuse in this country, which, as you've seen with the Weinstein and Epstein thing, and in the local hacker community and the Smash Brothers community, that is unfortunately a thing. So just reminding. And again, the link is in the chat to donate. If you're on Twitch, you can scroll down. There's a little widget to click. So, and also just to note, because we're on the topic of Native Americans, if you were unaware, there is an actual organization out there. This is the conference for it. Let's try to go to the organization's main website here, if it will let us. Nope, I can't go to the. I'm going crazy. Okay. I have to stop being a grandpa and actually cut the URL part out and then go here. I was looking at this before. Unfortunately, this part ended, but they do hold their own conferences. But there's an organization out there called the American Indian Science and Engineering Society. This is basically an organization that tries to put out there all the different, who try to nurture Native Americans and Indigenous people and Inuit people in the North American continent, so in Canada, United States, Mexico, and some of the other Central American countries, on STEM and networking and hacker stuff. So this is kind of like the Native American hacker guild sort of thing. So I just wanted to share, if you are interested in interacting with this group, that is the website link to them. So let's get back on topic here. So what we're going to be looking at is this thing called Mazda coin, also known as the Mazda network. Now, I didn't bring this up here. I'm actually going to create a, this is their website, by the way. It's at MazdaCoin.org. And a lot of people kind of wonder, okay, so what's the deal with this? And I'm actually going to open another tab and see if I can, I'm going to see if I can search for this, because it should be on Wikipedia, but let's see. So, Indian, or I should put like Native American, because sometimes people are racist and they don't change names. Native American legal tender, I think, might bring up this issue. Um, let's see. So actually, what I should probably look up is sovereignty. Otherwise, I'll just explain it if this doesn't get to this point. So let's see. So there's this whole thing with Native American Indigenous tribal sovereignty in the United States, and there's a lot of stipulations that really puts the neck on all of these reservations. Never mind that basically the United States has, let's see here, has, let's see, the American sovereignty legal tender. Um, let's see if I can find this in the search. That these reservations where tribes currently live have a giant boot on their neck, essentially. So they are a lot of times economic ghettos. We're going to look at something that's going to get to that in a moment. Um, and a bunch of other things. And one of the most interesting thing, especially if you're very like a libre minded, I'd even dare to say libertarian person, and that's a new thing, is that Oklahoma, there's been more better sovereignty laws. So unfortunately, I can't find it here, but we will go back to the Mazda coin here, is that one of the stipulations that allows these reservations to exist and Native American tribes to exist is that you are not allowed at all, as a tribes person to make legal tender in the United States. So even though your tribe to some degree might even be seen, if you're lucky, like for example the Cherokee, for example, as like they kind of treat you as, okay, you're another nation, you are Native Americans, like you are not exactly that, and there's another INCENT reward. Um, but, geez, um, you have to adopt the USD, or the United States currency. This kind of sounds familiar because even though the United States and other banking institutes are doing research into cryptocurrency, in fact, I would not be surprised if in the next decade or two we are going to have a USD, a cryptocurrency version of USD, basically Facebook's awful Libra coin, but officially sanctioned by the United States government. And we'll probably revisit that episode in the future. But the United States really is trying to put into, like how you see where they screw a lot of laws, like Coinbase, for example, that even when you try to do cryptocurrencies, all the mainstream ones, even Bitcoin, are still beholden to the United States dollar. And that is nothing new. They've been doing this to native tribes as well as territories like Puerto Rico, even though Puerto Rico wants to become a state, for many, many years. But if you're allowed to make your own currency, even if it's just, for example, beads or shells, even though those are often apparently traded on reservations still, that is seen as being your own nation. After all, if the United States did not have the United States dollar, we would basically cease to be the United States. We've also seen examples of this where, what do you call it, where, if I remember correctly, Zimbabwe, when they, hey Mahim, um, especially when you look at like Zimbabwe, for example, where everyone kind of remembers the 1 billion Zimbabwean dollars, right? And that basically, there's a whole thing, you can go look it up, where they kind of tank their economy. And the thing is that their money got so inflated that some people argued if Zimbabwe was even a country anymore, because they were essentially using legal USD, or United States dollars, as their official currency. That's also been brought up in North Korea because of how weak their won is. That was also China for a while before its economic giant growth. And again, there's this whole concept that if you're able to print your own money, that means you can have certain sovereignty, automatic rights in your jurisdiction. This is why countries like the United States are very, and I'm not trying to take a stance on this, I'm just explaining this, how this is viewed by banking systems. Because I'm not going to say my opinion about this on air, to be honest. Not because it's controversial, I just feel like this would bog up the entire episode. But that's why governments like the United States and the governing bodies like the United States and the European Union and various trade commissions are very iffy about the idea of cryptocurrency, because essentially you're minting a currency where you would technically by that point recognize, for example, whoever runs Bitcoin as their own nation, but Bitcoin is completely anonymous and it's decentralized for the most part. So that means you have a nation that's not a nation but can claim rights as nations, and that kind of throws a monkey wrench in the whole sort of like never mind capitalist sort of thinking. And so basically there was this dude who lived on a reservation, and he had a simple thought, which is that, oh, okay, there is no law in the stipulations among governing bodies for reservations, including one of the dumbest divisions and one of the dumbest named divisions in the United States, which is the Bureau of Indian Affairs, which is stupid because that would be like calling like some sort, like that would be like calling the Vietnamese embassy the United States Embassy of Gook Affairs. It's like that's an insult. That's not what they're called. Like just instead of having its own dedicated department under the FBI, I might add. And if you know anything about the FBI, that's a whole other thing. Move it over to diplomacy of the United States and just call it U.S. and Native American relations. Done. That's it. Never mind all the other fixes they have to. But there's a lot of stipulations of those. And as I said, they can't print their own currency. They can't print like paper fiat money. They can't say beads or shells or trinkets or pieces of wood or pieces of metal or anything can be currency. But they didn't list anything about digital stuff, because when these laws were drafted a billion years ago, the internet didn't exist. Telephone lines barely existed when all this stuff was made. So there was nothing out there about the internet and digital stuff. So this guy basically was like, huh, what if we made our own cryptocurrency that we can trade throughout the different reservations and tribes, and that way we actually have a degree of sovereignty because we've made our own currency, and the FBI and the Indian Bureau of Affairs can't shit on us because I'm sorry for no closed captions today. It's just I'm trying to get the system well because we're going to be doing a lot of network stuff. But they're like, and then the FBI under the Indian Bureau of Affairs can't do anything against it because it's a cryptocurrency. The United States doesn't have any hard and or even soft laws for cryptocurrency. It just has some for general banking when you cash out. So this dude went on and he created MazaCoin. And it's been a very interesting project. It's had its ups and downs. I'm trying to remember when it first started. And in fact, I'm actually going to open up a new tab and go to CoinGecko, which is one of, I mean, I could also go to like Coinbase and stuff. But for some reason, I just like using CoinGecko when I look up different things. I actually think it's like a little, so it's not a high rated coin, but it actually has positive value. It's constantly kept in circulation. Now, if the stuff we're about to do makes it run, we don't know. We're gonna find that out during this episode, so cross your fingers on this. And here's sort of the source code for it. By the way, we have forked, I believe, the main Mazda wallet, as well as the IPFS to our GitHub, which you can find at github.com/defcon201. Or we have if you're on Twitch, we have a widget for our GitHub, and everything is pinned there. So someone wrote, "Did you know about the Ruja in Nova? She made the best crypto scan." I'm actually going to bring this up at the end, but yes, I do know about that. And a thing that I do want to also point out, and I was actually going to say this at the end of the episode, but I might as well say it right now. Again, second and fourth Saturday of every month. So that will be on December 12th. And hold on, I just want to check something here on my terminal. And that's going to be, well, I'm doing all the episodes I've always wanted to do. So this is an episode I've wanted to do before the end of the year. On December 12th, our second to last episode this year, because we're going to keep going on 2021, and hopefully that will be a better year for everybody. I'm actually going to get into cryptocurrency scams, as well as techniques that hackers do to break into blockchains and wallets and stuff. So I do know about that. I'm going to bring her up that episode, but we're not going to focus on that. That will be for the 12th. We're going to be focusing on the MazaCoin IPFS. And so we, whether it's through our GitHub widget on Twitch or through you could go to github.com/defcon201, which you can also find if you go to our website, www.defcon201.org. We have those pinned there so you can see all of this, so you can see what I'm seeing. It does not update frequently. It's a mix of languages. The primary thing is based in C. Java's probably handling all the network backend stuff, and there's some TypeScript and CSS there. It's probably for like the interface. There's also wallets for Android and iOS. And before I go on to, we're going to watch a little bit of video about this, but one of the fascinating things about MazaCoin is up until very recently, because I guess he dropped off the face of the earth again, how much the person maintaining this and the other people helping out with this, how much of it is, let's actually look at exchanges for a second, how much on the cutting edge they try to be. Like, if I remember correctly, this dude actually coded one of the first, not only one of the first multi-wallets that was open, so you could actually take other wallet code and then copy it over to that wallet, and then that wallet system would work. It would sync to that blockchain. So even though it started off with these base ones, you could add any of the type of blockchains to it, basically bootstrapping it to itself. And it was the only one at the time for like a year and a half that you could find on Linux. So that was one of their big projects that they worked on. And then the other thing, which we're going to get into, is they're the first cryptocurrency to go into IPFS. And we're going to get into not only what IPFS is, but also how you would, on a blockchain, whether it's a decentralized app or your cryptocurrency, access stuff through IPFS, because there's a lot of cryptocurrency that's been pointing out, including big ones like Litecoin, and Ethereum's been on this for a couple of years. IPFS really works well with blockchain tech, and IPFS is going to be the future of a lot of cryptocurrencies and blockchain. So it's kind of fascinating that this Native American coin that's been struggling, and I'll also explain why it's struggling, has been struggling to get off the ground, has been on the frontier and set trends for all of that. But enough of a not, even though I have a degree of Native blood, I will never claim to be Indigenous Native American, unlike certain white people in the South and the Midwest. So I'm not going to talk about my American ass about it. We're going to watch a quick video about MazaCoin being interviewed by the dude who created it, the main dude who created it. Is a video documented from a couple of years ago, and he's not only gonna talk about how it's used, but you're also going to see, because a lot of people have never seen this, what a lot of, now it's not like all Indian reservations are the worst place on earth, although again a lot of them are slums and ghettos. We live in basically the ghetto in Jersey City, so I know how that feels. We are not rich people, or we try not to be elitist, because you probably have seen those episodes where you hear gunshots or fireworks or sirens or parties going on, or all four. So we know what it's like being in that. This is an even worse state for a lot of them. So I'm not going to say all of them are garbage and like all of them look like this, but a bunch of them definitely do, and it does impact. So you get to see what a bad Native American reservation looked like, and why reservations are in disarray about that. I'll give you a hint. The United States government, both socially, economically, and legislatively, are big problems with this. As well as the creators are going to talk a bit about MazaCoin, and you're also going to see how, even in his own, in nearby reservations and within his own tribe, the struggles of them trying to adopt cryptocurrency. And remember, I think he started this like I think back in 2000 and like 13 or 14. So this is I think Bitcoin was only around for a year and a half. So like it'd probably be a bit easier now, and I have some ideas of where they could have improved on this, but like back then, again, it's like with African Americans and Latinos living in ghettos, which a lot of them are. I was one of those, where having a computer, you was basically being a millionaire, like. But I'm gonna stop talking, and I'm gonna let the man talk himself, and you get to see all the difficulties and stuff like that. Yes, it is. It's both sick as cool and annoying, and we're gonna get into that. But first, let's hear about MazaCoin from the guy who programmed pretty much all of himself, MazaCoin. And my video is going to go off a bit, and I'll come back in a moment, so I'll see you in a bit.
MazaCoin is a unique internet protocol that allows for seamless peer-to-peer financial transactions, completely secure, completely private. MazaCoin is changing finance the same ways that the horse changed our culture, because it's carrying us now into the future. And it can carry you into the future as well.
Here in Pine Ridge, we don't have an economy. Our economy here is ranching, cattle, but we don't own the cattle. It's owned by non-natives and then taking their money and then spending it elsewhere. For the past 3-4 generations, we've been surviving with artwork, drawings, paintings, beadwork, quill work, all of this stuff. There's a whole lot of home-based operations.
When you look around here, we've got to focus on what's happening here first. This has to be a priority. When I have people starving to death and I have people sleeping in abandoned cars, I don't care if the state gets upset because they might lose $100,000 a year. It's time to stay focused on the real actual problem. MazaCoin is a variation of Bitcoin with a social purpose. We're a Native American variation, and we're designed basically to help promote economic development and growth for the indigenous tribal communities. As MazaCoin develops, I want people to be able to come in and see it at work. They can get a cream puff at the bakery. They can go shopping at the store. If they want to attend college, they can pay for the college tuition in MazaCoin. Those are all future goals that we're hoping are accomplished here really, really soon. The framework is there. Now it's just a matter of getting that first retailer to say, all right, I'll try this out and see what happens. It's a real simple app. It's basically a currency for the tribe. That's the MazaCoin that I have.
Oh, you're rich.
I wish I was. In your case, for a small business owner, you would have like a little point-of-sale terminal. It could be a tablet, it could be a phone. You have a little app that looks like that.
What are all the different coins? What do you mean?
These are all different cryptocurrencies.
Sounds like a fiction movie. Okay, you're talking to a woman that's over 50. I'm very limited. I could barely text. I mean, everything's scary. There's so many, there's just too many smart people that can hack into stuff like that, and I don't trust it.
And I really think this has the potential to...
That's what you're trying to do, is get this going on the reservation?
Get this going on the reservation.
I wouldn't go that route. I would stay old school as long as I can. In an economy like it is here, I don't see how they could afford the technology to even do that if they wanted to use it for their sales.
But you have to understand, for the tribes, every couple of years we have a group or a company or a corporation that come in and say, we're going to save the day, we're going to bring jobs, we're going to do all this. and inevitably they either fail, they give up, but the people are left with, again, nothing. You know, if they can't feel it in their hand or hear it jingling in their pocket, they don't believe that it's real. This one is a church and soup line. You'll get people that'll come in to get a warm meal. Generally, they'll have crashed out in one of the fields somewhere, or wherever they can find a place to sleep. Bitcoin is a digital cryptocurrency. It's kind of like a digital.
I have heard about that.
Yeah, you've heard of it. I could take anyone and say, look, this is the basics. You know, you want to trade MazaCoin, Bitcoin,
But you can do that
Dogecoin.
here.
You can do it here.
No, you couldn't.
Yeah, you could. Well, that's what we're working on doing.
It's not going to happen, man. And they're not going to back a Bitcoin. They're not going to back anything. No, I don't see it happening.
And that's where you just got to keep hope. You know.
You can keep on them all you want. They believe in the way that your grandpa taught them.
Yeah.
And there's no Bitcoin. There was no Bitcoin involved anywhere.
Don't give up hope. Things will change. Ready?
Yeah, well, go back to your reservation.
My grandma's a Pooyer. I am on my reservation.
I don't give a fuck where your grandma's from. This is Pine Ridge.
And my grandma's from Pine Ridge.
Well,
Porcupine.
you're not from here. You're not from here. You don't know what it's like to be here. You
I don't know what it's like to be here.
Fucking poor. You
Dude.
don't know what it's like to have a fucking sheriff roll down on you. You don't know what it's like.
All right,
So just
well,
step back and keep your mouth shut.
dude, I've lived here for 10
Hey.
years.
I just told you to keep your mouth shut.
When you've lived in a completely different level of poverty through your whole life, and there are no jobs, it doesn't breed a lot of hope. It breeds despair. And that's why the MazaCoin project as a whole is so important, because we want to bring hope back. There's an issue with MazaCoin and our acceptance at coinpayments.net. Right now, I'm basically just letting them know that, MazaCoin doesn't appear to be listed anymore, and inquiring as to if it's intentional or if it's a tech issue. If it was an intentional decision to remove MazaCoin support, well, we'd like to address why. I mean, is it because of the low volume? Is it because they lost faith in it? Okay, everyone has a choice. Please contact me.
As natives, we're always thinking of the future. Our ancestors did. They always thought of They always thought 7 generations ahead. 7 generations from now, I envision and just doing our warrior deeds, like our ancestors did years ago, we're doing here in the 21st century.
If it doesn't work out, everyone stops mining it. Nobody wants to deal with it anymore. It's one of those things where I can look back and say we gave it a good shot. Would I like to have, cash in my pocket? Absolutely. Would I like to be driving a Lamborghini? Absolutely. Will I drive a Lamborghini someday? Absolutely. Obstacles are what we see when we take our eyes off the prize. And it's easy, especially in this environment, especially in the environment on the res, it's easy to give up. It's easy to be like, you know what, I ain't doing this anymore, it doesn't work, forget it. You just gotta stay focused.
Oh, hey, oh, hey, hey, oh. When I first saw you, I knew I had to ask about you. Oh, did you see that girl? I couldn't believe.
So that was a documentary about MazaCoin, which is what we're currently talking about, and we're going to get into IPFS in a moment. So you can kind of sort of see not only what they were trying to go for here, but also some of the obstacles that they had way early on when this started. It's kind of a through line through, and you can see there that again, one that there's like basically 2 core problems that I see with this, and it has nothing to do so far because I haven't tried the new IPFS method. It has nothing to do with any of the coding or anything. This is much in a lot of different ways. You ever see where like there's some sort of problem that happens in the world and people are like, "Oh yeah, we're going to make some like cloud blockchain mitigation thing and that will like cure it all." And then nothing happens from it even though it's like backed by all the major companies and things. And the reason why that happens is because there are a lot of things where you can't just throw technology at things and you have to deal with social problems. And the first problem is you're dealing with an aging population that has been so incredibly crapped on. It's similar to African Americans for just centuries that it is very, there's songs about this in like rap music where they talk about why they try to keep African Americans in the ghetto because there's no dreams in the ghetto. So they want to put you in a hopeless world so that way you can never dream about a world that's outside of it unless you never leave and your descendants never leave. And it's the same thing with a lot of these reservations is that these people, they had their entire food stock wiped out. They were re-educated and erased with their culture, and they were given blankets full of diseases, which is why COVID is such a big ironic thing right now, and all this other stuff that it's very hard for them to and anything, as he said, if it's not change in your pocket, if it's not physically there, they don't believe it anymore, which is kind of nuts considering that many of these tribes used to be very abstract and not to stereotype, but very spiritual. They were very connected. And here comes the new INCENT reward, which, meaning that they could conceptualize things such as a third gender or healthcare for everybody and things like that. And basically the Europeans came and been like, you need to think like us where we're all assholes and we're going to beat the shit out of you. The beatings will continue until morale improves. And that's what basically happened. So that's one thing. And again, as that woman said, she's in her 50s and here it comes. And there it is, the incense. I think it's that way. Where she's like, I can't type. You're dealing with people who, similar to African Americans, Latinos, and poor white people, especially in the meth areas, which impacts the whole wide demographics, and COVID areas, which impacts everybody. That you need to get over that tech hump. Like it's even a higher hump than what you think it as for most people. And I've had some ideas about how to mitigate this over the years. One is back then there weren't any crypto wallets, and one of my problems is that remember when we unboxed like an episode or two ago, I think it was last episode, we unboxed a Nano S Ledger, and I still believe, if I remember correctly, those things sell between like $80 to $120, and as you saw, it's just a fancy USB stick. Making very simple hardware wallets, like where it's literally a USB stick with a small screen and like some open source protection stuff. This is something that the Free Software Foundation could possibly do. Would help. Another thing would be to refurbish a lot of older smartphones and put the Mazda app on there and educate people there on how to use it. Another thing that could also still be done, is to introduce the mixture of also paper wallets where you can go to a small building, let's say we buy a plot of land. I'm going to assume like an asshole and believe that these plots of lands are really cheap. And then you have them set up their Mazda cryptocurrency account, and then you make the paper wallet and explain, hey, when you want to receive stuff, you show this QR code. When you want to send stuff, you just put this QR code, and that's how you interact with the app. So even if you don't have a smartphone or whatever, you can still use this paper wallet. And that's, again, something tangible. You're not clicking buttons. It works much like a credit card or a regular wallet. Also, the concept of, we're now starting to see, which I hope to get early next year, like a cryptocurrency type credit card. We're starting to see those with Vista and MasterCard, or Vesta, are starting to do this sort of stuff. But then we get into the other ugly side of why I think this really didn't get off, because here's the real tragedy. And this is where we get into a little bit of cryptocurrency community, and I promise you we're going to go straight into IPFS. We're actually going to see one more large video, and then we're going to get to a lot of terminal and Golang and download crap. Which is that there's been crypto bros have been stereotyped for a lot of things. But one of the big things that cryptocurrency itself, with my crazy hair, like to promote is not necessarily anarchist, but like a lot of it is super libertarian, U.S. libertarian driven. So there's like this whole thing, like a lot of people are into cryptocurrency. There's like, yeah, it's like money, but we own it, or like money and no one owns it, so you don't get like taxes because taxation is theft and stuff, and like F the man and everything, right? So you would think the idea of, because people are like, well, where's a good use case for that besides crime? And you would think, because this made it all over the news, that's how I heard about this, that indigenous people making their own cryptocurrency to be like, we've constantly had our foot on our necks by the United States Indian Bureau of Affairs, which also we're not Indians, we're Native Americans. That's a whole other thing there. So they even got the name wrong. Could you imagine a division of the Trump would have probably made one, to be honest. Probably eventually conservatives and neoliberals will probably make this, which is like the American Bureau of Negro Affairs. Like, that's how bad this is. But basically a group of people being like, hi, we've been historically shit on by the United States government, and one of the main small things is we're not allowed to make our own legal tender, but there's no law about cryptocurrency. So we as tribes are making our own cryptocurrency and be like, suck it, we can do it, and you can't do anything about it because you don't have any actual laws for it, and we want to be our own people. You would think that those like crypto bro people would be all over this and would be like investing coin and fiat money into this project and promoting it everywhere to high heavens and developing code for this, and just have their hands all over it, because here's a group of people, and they're not criminals, who are actively protesting, aka saying F the man, by making a cryptocurrency that has historical precedent of justification for wanting to do this because of how much they're shit on as a demographic of people who originally were here before these new assholes came in. So you would think all those F the man crypto bros would be all over this. Silence. It's so silent you can hear it. It's the loudest thing. I have never seen any cryptocurrency anything back this. And especially those Thomas Paine icon F the man cryptocurrency people. Because the deeper issue is the amount of not only racism, right? But even if you somehow take race out of this, the elitist attitude. I just realized this thing might be a little off here. The elitist, there we go, attitude, or maybe it's, here we go. That's how it works. Sorry, I'm just trying to correct this over here. Oh. As soon as I say that, we start having computing problems. But yeah, there we go. The elitist attitude of the cryptocurrency community, where basically there's a bunch of altcoins that aren't shitcoins that are trying to do legitimate things like this. Same thing, which we're going to look at in a bit to end this, like Pinkcoin, which does money for charity stuff, Gridcoin, which is helping combat coronavirus and stuff like that. But you don't hear a peep from any of the Bitcoin bros. You don't hear anything from the blockchain bros. You don't hear anything from Ethereum developers. You don't hear them from anything. Because when they talk about F the man, what they're really saying is, F you, I got mine. They want it. They are rich Hoboken white people, men mostly, in the suburbs, who basically did not go to college to be capital venture people. So now they're living out their digital fantasy of being a capture eventualist, but they want to have the same chutzpah, and it's the Elon Musk. They want to show up in limos and smoke weed on Joe Rogan and stuff and screw everyone else. And cryptocurrency and blockchain technologies will not grow. We won't see amazing actual use cases like this go in development, and essentially what we'll just simply have is digital fiat money that has a little bit of actual encryption in it because of this type of attitude in the community. So if we want to see more actual use cases for real applications of blockchains and even cryptocurrency like this, we have to go out of our boxes. We have to go outside of our venture capital boxes and end the snake oil in this and actually back up projects who are doing anything. Because otherwise, MazaCoin, a type of cryptocurrency that's going to flounder despite its really good cause and message, as you saw with that video. And this guy's amazing. He's a super coder. He coded like 80% of this. It's open source, completely open source. Anyone can fork it, do it, just name it. Another thing called MazaCoin. He'll cheer you on. And he did almost all the coding and pretty much all the marketing for it just himself. And it wasn't a scam. There has been researched so many times, and he's not trying to scam anyone, but he flounders because when the crypto venture capitalists are looking for cryptocurrencies to say F the man, what they really want to do is basically make a D-app that will somehow replace Facebook and then become the new Zuckerberg. So instead of, there's a saying, slave doesn't want to be free, slave wants to be king. These are people who, even though they talk about rah, F the man, they're not here to get rid of the man. They want to replace the man with themselves. And as someone who's grown up around old school hackers, that is like a big no-no. So, now that we got all of that out of the way, let's do some follows or donate a couple of dollars to our Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network, aka RAIN Charity Fund, for the actual blockchain that I'm wearing, that G.I. Jack always lets me borrow in this episode, which is an actual tiny center block. It's actually made out of the same concrete material as a center block, but it's just really tiny on an actual chain. So if you're impressed by that, or if you agree with the message I'm talking about, you can donate to RAIN. It's our charity drive for probably the next week and a half. I'm going to put the link in chat for everyone out there, especially on D-Live. And by the way, on D-Live, don't worry. Near the end of the episode, if anyone's watching on D-Live, I'm going to send I'm going to do the lemon treasure chest thing. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to look at the time, and I'm going to say around 10:30 is as long as nothing goes stupid, which is Crypto Baron, so it probably will. That's when that will happen. But if you're on DLive or YouTube, here's the link again in chat. If you're on Twitch, you can scroll down. We have a little widget. If we can get to halfway to our goal, as much as I would like to make the $400, I'll just be happy with $200. And again, anything you donate, even if we don't meet, even if it's $399.99, all the stuff that's currently donated and will be donated will directly go to RAIN, and they keep that money. They use to keep their 24-hour sexual abuse hotline open for men, women, and children of all different types. They don't discriminate against anybody, as well as have education for people to identify what sexual abuse is, how to deal with it, how to prosecute sexual offenders so that they're actually arrested, unlike Weinstein. As well as like physical and digital resources and facilities with social distancing and stuff. So that will all go there. Also, all the money's handled through Tiltify. It's not like we put it in a giant PayPal account and then send it over and scrape off the top. You're like, aha, we don't touch it. Tiltify is a very reputable company that deals with charities, and so that's why we're using that. So you can do that link in chat. Also, if you like the stuff going on, you can hit that bell, click like, share, subscribe on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube. We're also currently testing out Facebook, and we'll probably be making Facebook events in the future. Whether you donate to our charity or follow us on there or send us bits or lemons, we get those notifications on here, and we love cheering people on. So, like we were saying before, one of the unique things about MazaCoin is that it is using, actually need to go to the page, is you actually have to install and use IPFS in order to get the the wallet and to sync with the blockchain. What is IPFS? Well, here's their website. It's ipfs.io. And as they wrote, it's a distributed web. Do you remember a couple episodes back? I'm going to guess and say this is about 4 episodes back, maybe 5, where we talked about zero net, and we were talking about how someone figured out how to burn a block on a chain, in this case Bitcoin, and that way, because all the data really isn't a block as any data, it's just, for most cryptocurrencies, it's just hashes for validation. That you could put any data in there, so they were burning Bitcoins and putting things like ebooks and pornography and funny text files and video games and movies and stuff on there. And then a bunch of people took that idea and they made ZeroNet, where they use BitTorrent in order to do the website link ups, but they use blockchain to validate the users. IPFS is a similar in vein, and similar to last time. Thankfully, there's an entire video that talks about what the heck IPFS is, and it will explain it better than I can. I'm just going to be the person that's going to F with it. So let's check and I promise this is going to be the last video, and then we're going to go into like cool terminal stuff, including a thing that I basically set up at the last minute that I already kind of set up, and I'm going to demo it on air and hope it works. And we're also going to try to download, we're going to try to interface with MazaCoin through IPFS and see if we can get everything running. But let's view of what IPFS is. What the heck is an IPFS? How does it work? And explain it to us like we're 5.
Today, the internet is such an important tool in our everyday life. We use it to consume media, to communicate with friends and colleagues, to learn, to handle our finances, and much more. But the web as we know it has a problem. The information on it is centralized. It's all stored on big server farms like this one, and these are usually controlled by a single company. I mean, have you ever wondered what would happen if sites like YouTube or Wikipedia would go offline? How would you watch cat videos or spend hours reading one Wikipedia page after the other? The centralization brings another problem with it, and that is censorship. Because content is hosted on just a few servers, it's easy for governments to block access to them. In 2017, Turkey ordered internet providers to block access to Wikipedia because the administration called it a threat to national security. So you get the idea. Centralization of the web isn't a good thing. But then why do we keep using such a model? Well, that's because we have high expectations when it comes to the web. We want pages, images, and videos to load instantly, and we want them in high quality. Centralizing servers allows companies to have complete control over how fast it can deliver all of this content. Another reason we use this model is that there just isn't a good and fast alternative. But that might be about to change. Meet IPFS, the Interplanetary File System. That's a fancy name, and they have very ambitious goals as well. They want to make the web completely distributed by running it on top of a peer-to-peer network that works similarly to how BitTorrent works. Let's take a look at how IPFS can accomplish these goals, but first you have to understand how we access content on the web right now. Let's say you want to download a photo from the internet. When you do that, you tell the computer exactly where to find the photo. In this case, the location of the photo is the IP address or the domain name. This is called location-based addressing. You tell the computer where to get the information, but if that location isn't accessible, in other words, the server is down, you won't get that photo. However, when that happens, there is a high chance that someone else has downloaded that picture before and still has a copy of it, but yet your computer won't be able to grab a copy from that person. To fix this, IPFS moves from location-based addressing to content-based addressing. Instead of saying where to find a resource, you just say what it is you want. But how does that work? Well, every file has a unique hash, which can be compared to a fingerprint. When you want to download a certain file, you just ask the network who has the file with this hash, and someone on the IPFS network will provide it to you. Now you might think, hold on a minute, how do I know that that person hasn't tampered with the file? Well, because you use a hash function to request the file, you can verify what you have received. You request a file with a certain hash, so when you receive the file, you check if the hash matches with what you have received. Security built in. Another nice feature of using hashes to address content is deduplication. When multiple people publish the same file on IPFS, it will only be created once, and that makes the network very efficient. Alright, enough with this high-level overview. Let's take a look at how IPFS stores files and makes them accessible to others. Files are stored inside IPFS objects, and these objects can store up to 256 kilobytes worth of data. They can also contain links to other IPFS objects. A simple Hello World text file, which is very small, can be stored in a single IPFS object. But what about files that are larger than 256 kilobytes, like an image or a video for instance? Well, those are split up into multiple IPFS objects that are all 256 kilobytes in size, and afterwards the system will create an empty IPFS object that links to all the other pieces of the file. IPFS's data architecture is very simple, but yet it can be very powerful. This architecture allows us to really use it as a file system. Here's a simple directory structure with some files in it. We can translate this into IPFS objects as well, creating one object for each file and each directory. But that is not all. You see, because IPFS uses content-based addressing, once something is added, it cannot be changed anymore. It's an immutable data store, much like a blockchain. But then how do we change stuff on it? Well, IPFS supports versioning of your files. Let's say you're working on an important document that you want to share with everyone over IPFS. When you do that, IPFS will create a new commit object for you. This object is really basic. It just tells IPFS which commit went before it, and it links to the IPFS object of your file. Now let's imagine that after a while you want to update this file. Well, you just add your updated file to IPFS, and then the software will create a new commit object for your file. This commit object now links to the previous commit, and this process can be repeated endlessly. IPFS will make sure that your file plus all its entire history is accessible to other nodes on the network. Pretty useful. This all sounds great, but it's not without its limitations or drawbacks. The biggest problem that IPFS faces is keeping files available. Every node on the network keeps a cache of the files that it has downloaded and helps to share them if other people need them. But if a specific file is hosted by, let's say, 4 nodes, and those nodes go offline, then that file becomes unavailable and no one can grab a copy of it. A bit like BitTorrent swarms without seeders. There are 2 possible solutions for this problem. Either we incentivize people to store files and make them available, or we can proactively distribute files and make sure that there is always a certain number of copies available on the network. And that's exactly what Filecoin intends to do. Filecoin is created by the same group of people that have created IPFS. It's basically a blockchain built on top of IPFS that wants to create a decentralized market for storage. If you have some free space on your hard drive, you can rent it out to others and make money of it in the process. Filecoin creates a strong incentive for nodes to keep the files online for as long as possible, because otherwise they won't get rewarded. The system also makes sure that files are replicated on many nodes so they cannot become unavailable. That's just a quick summary of Filecoin and how it intends to build on top of IPFS to solve some of its issues. Leave a comment below if you want to learn more about Filecoin in a future video. Last thing we're going to take a look at is how IPFS can be used. As I mentioned before, in 2017, the Turkish government decided to block access to Wikipedia. The people behind IPFS responded by taking the Turkish Wikipedia and putting a copy of it on IPFS. And because IPFS is distributed and there are no central servers, the government can't block it. Another nice application is DTube, which is basically a site like YouTube, but entirely distributed and hosted on IPFS. Anyone can publish videos and anyone can help to support the network. Pretty clever. But by now you must be wondering, why is IPFS called the interplanetary file system? Is it suited to run across multiple planets? Well, let's assume that we have a base on Mars. Communicating from Mars to Earth is quite difficult. Depending on the position of the 2 planets, a signal can take somewhere between 4 and 24 minutes to travel between them. Let's take the best case scenario. You're on Mars, you open your laptop and you request a copy of the Wikipedia page of planet Earth, because you've forgotten what it's like there. The request to Wikipedia travels 4 minutes to Earth, and when it arrives there, it is sent over the internet to the Wikipedia servers, who respond in just a few milliseconds. That response, however, still has to travel 4 minutes back to Mars. So on a good day, visiting a single web page will take you about 8 minutes. On a bad day, 48 minutes. With IPFS, it's possible to cache large parts of the internet on Mars. So if someone already has requested a page that you want to download, it can come straight from a node on Mars, making that page load just as fast as it would on Earth. So yes, IPFS could be used to distribute parts of the internet across multiple planets. So to summarize, IPFS is a very ambitious project that could lead to a truly decentralized internet, and now you know how it works. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you want more videos like this one, and as always, thank you very much for watching.
So that was a detailed explanation of how IPFS works, or the Interplanetary File System. It's kind of a hilarious name because like, ooh, spooky stuff. But yeah, basically in a nutshell, IPFS, and right now I'm like dealing between two laptops right now. This is literally like a tale of two laptops. And hopefully this doesn't crash the computer. Oops, cat just walked in the background. Not here. Unfortunately, we don't have any cats here. I wish we did. But basically it was kind of designed with the idea of like, well, what happens if the internet gets so big that, let's say, you're trying to communicate to like the USS space station? Because if you don't know, the lag on that, I think, is something still, like with today's current technology, I think the lag for a lot of transmissions, for like average transmission, I think is between 8 to 16 minutes. And do you know how much could happen between 8 to 16 minutes? Holy crap. I think they have high bandwidth ones that are much faster, that are more like between like 14 to 30 seconds, but still that's a lot right there. Let me just make this bigger. I think that's what she said. So yeah. So the idea was, well, how would you do like that with such a latency scale? And it basically, if you remember ZeroNet, and also Namecoin and stuff like that, that's kind of what it is. Where it's decentralized, it's using peer-to-peer, although in this case I don't think they're using BitTorrent, I think they're using something else. And the other major thing about them is that while it's not necessarily a blockchain, all the websites are stored as cryptographic hashes in this decentralized network. So when you know a hash, you know a place on IPFS. So it essentially works like a blockchain. This is why I wanted to cover this later, because you would have to know how blockchain technologies work. Again, see our first episode, and things like ZeroNet, which I believe 4 or 5 episodes earlier, to know how something like this that works. And so even compared to ZeroNet, this is extremely highly decentralized type of system. And there's multiple ways that you can use and interface with this whole system. There's our last resource we're going to do here is the IPF desktop. We're also going to later on, if I can, install a companion to Firefox and see that works, but we need to set everything else up first. What we're going to try to do, against my own ability, is we are going to try to install, we're going to try to do this through the command line, which is like a death sentence. And as much as both these languages will drive me crazy, we're going to just go with the default Go implementation of it. So what I'm going to do here now is, and let me talk about some blockchain applications for it. So again, what you can do is you can, again, this is for sharing files. Now, technically, which is something we've looked into, is that you can, you can make websites for it. There is an issue as opposed to ZeroNet. If you know, ZeroNet is very visual, very down to earth. So what you do is you go, you edit the code. When you update it there, because the blockchain is only dealing with accounts and not the data, once you generate that account, that remains there on the blockchain. So all it does is it reads local files. All you have to do is update those files, or even easier, go through their browser and just hit save, sign it with your private key. You've updated it. A thing that we're going to kind of see, I think we're going to try to do later, is the IPFS. IPFS makes so you know how you can generate different types of hashes, and so normally you would run things like through SH1 through 3, or MD5 or something. IPFS actually determines your cryptographic hash by looking at the data of the thing you are sending to IPFS. So for example, let's say you are sending a PDF through IPFS. What it's actually going to do is it's going to take the data of the PDF itself, all the data that makes it up, and it's going to use a calculation with an SHA, usually SHA2, and it will generate, based on the data of the PDF, what that hash is, and that's going to be its URL on the network, its system, where you will be able to find that PDF. This is important because let's say I take the PDF and I change something and upload it. it's going to, like, let's say I changed like one character. I forgot to capitalize something. I capitalized something in a sentence. It's actually going to change the entire string because all the generation of the hashes is based on that data. So because you change something in that PDF, it's ultimately changed the entire hash. So when it goes through again, it's going to be a completely different hash, meaning eventually you're going to have a string of multiple different files that are all separate, but are basically the same thing with different changes to it. Or if you remove something from it, no one's going to be able to find it anymore. So while technically this generating hash through the data that's being uploaded to the network is a very cool security function, because that makes sure that not only you have unique hashes, but it's easy because instead of telling it what hash to make, you just tell it the file and it sends it. This becomes a headache when it comes to trying to maintain stuff. Like IPFS is very much a drop and go. So for websites, for example, there's an actual method, and we're not going to do this today. We're going to revisit IPFS early next year, because early next year is going to drive me crazy, because we're going to be doing a lot of coding, and basically we're going to learn how, we keep talking about crypto wallets and stuff. The majority of the episodes are going to be about how you create dApps or decentralized apps, and we're going to get into a lot of Ethereum and programming and things like that. So for all the people who've been really wanting me to sit down and program and tear all my hair out, make it even more of a mess than it actually is, literally wait until immediately after New Year's on January, that first Crypto Barons episode. It's gonna be an entire series. It's gonna take like 3 to 5 months to do. So that's gonna be a whole thing. So we're not gonna get into everything with IPFS here, but just to note about it again, so as I said, John desires transfer a PDF. It's very much a drop and go. There's an actual method where you can actually basically either delete the previous website and update a new website, or basically go into that hash and modify it. In order to modify the data but not modify the hash. And I'm not going to go through that. That's going to be next year. But as he says, for example, here sharing a file, John wants to send a PDF IPFS, puts his PDF in his operation directory. Then he tells IPFS, hey, I want to send this file over. And then basically it reads that, generates the hash, and the file is offered on the IPF networks. Now it says, suppose John wants to share the file together with his colleague, female partner through IPFS. He just sends them that hash link, and then she puts that in there, and then she's accessed that file. And again, that file can be websites and things like that. Also, another thing about IPFS is that not by default, if I remember correctly, but basically IPFS can use asymmetric encryption, which is something we've covered a couple episodes in October when we talked about various privacy coins. So for this thing, is John decides to transfer a PDF file to PSF. However, he only wants Mary to access it. So he puts his PDF and he enters into the operating directory and encrypts it with Mary's public key that she already did by doing IPFS or through just SSH. Or GPG. He then tells IPFS he desires to feature this encrypted file, and that generates the hash of the encrypted file. He encrypts it, puts it on that network. Mary will retrieve the file, and because she owns the associated non-public key of that general public key, she can sign that, and thus she can unlock it. Someone else who doesn't have that key, pretty much anyone else besides Mary, will not be able to open it up. So you can actually take other people's key on IPFS, their public key, and sign it with that, much the same way you would do PGP or GPG, and basically only that person will be able to open that file. Again, we're not going to do that today, but we are going to look into it. So here's something that I really wanted to set up beforehand, but unfortunately I was too stupid enough to not get into. Oh, and also if you want a trip here, and I'll actually type this in chat, Hacker Noon, which is actually, by the way, if you know from our October episode, is completely compatible with I just died. I'm going to take a drink here. And if you like this content, again, you can like, click, share, subscribe to us on Twitch, Lever, YouTube. Again, also, we're only $10 away from halfway to our goal to our RAIN charity fund. That's the Rape, Abuse, and Incest Network. We're trying to fight against sexual abuse in general humanity here in the United States and across the nation. So if you can donate to that, even if it's $1, I will see that notification and cheer you on, because I'll be so happy that you did so. But no, Hacker News is the only hacker website that I can think of that is run that you can actually do Brave rewards on. We covered that in October. So that's a little fun to do that here. But basically, Hacker Noon has an entire great breakdown of everything in the IPFS white paper and explaining how that works. So I am going to post that in chat here. So that's that paper. And then I'm going to, again, post the link to our charity network, to our charity fund. And remember, Tiltify does the money. We don't do the money, meaning it's safe and it's a third party that sends it over. If you're on Twitch, we do have a widget at the bottom where you can see that. Also to note, if you're curious about checking out, which we're about to install in a moment, IPFS, the Go version, we do have that forked onto our GitHub repo, which is at github.com/defcon201, or you can go to our website and click that, or if you're on Twitch, scroll down and click on the, you can click, I just realized I didn't realize where I put my phone. Here we go, we're on time. The Discord widget. Sorry, we had, not Discord widget, on our Twitch we have a widget for GitHub, and we have that pinned right there. So you can click on that and look at the code without me having to go through that. I do have the code open up here. So this is the desktop version. That's going to be our last resort. What we're going to try to do on air and hope we don't have to do a computer restart or it fails us wherever, is we're going to do this and go. You see that face? That's the gopher face of death right there. That already makes me feel intimidated. So the way we're going to install this, well, first of all, let's get, let's try to look at this thing here. I'm actually going to full screen this just for convenience sake, because we're probably going to go back and forth a lot, and I'm going to see if I can open, a, you're going to hear a beep probably or something like that. Okay. Yes, okay, so I just opened up another instance of PowerShell. And now I'm going to add that because we're going to be in PowerShell a bit, and if NCommander's watching, I'm probably making him squirm right now. We are going to be using PowerShell just for this. We could also do this through Windows command line. Also, for anyone who's noticing, the reason why I'm doing PowerShell and Windows command line, aka we're broadcasting on Windows, because people do ask me that, is I use Ubuntu Linux. My preferred Linux is Monjaro. But I am familiar with multiple forms of Linux. I actually do have like Kali on here and on sticks, and you've seen me use Linux before, especially in VMs. But for some reason, probably because of coding and bias stuff, OBS tends to be a lot more stable and has more feature functions on Windows than it does with Linux. So that's why we're doing it on here for anyone who's curious. So what I'm going to do here is do a Windows capture, and we're going to do this PowerShell. And yep, that's what we're looking for. And we have two different windows, and we're probably going to pop between the two here. So I know this looks really ugly right now, but let's get this down to like a more manageable sort of thing right here. Let's see if we can make this full screen. Let's go back. Okay, even though we have an INCENT thing now, it just did a weird thing. So let's pop it out of full screen. That kind of screwed everything up. So I guess we'll just keep it like this. And we're going to now tempt fate here. And actually, let me remove the browser window here, just so you got all you folks can focus. And let's also not only make this the actual size of the screen here, because that would be intelligent. I know I'm blocking the INCENT right now. I apologize in advance. But let's correct that problem. There we go. And let's move it down over. We can see it. So if you're on INCENT, you can go and get free crypto directly through the INCENT reward network here. That's why I'm doing all this. It's not for my health. It's because I like you guys a lot. All you blocks and what I call you guys, all you folks out there. What we say on Crypto Barons is blocks and hashes, right? So what we're going to do here is I'm going to install this version by using Chocolatey, which is a package management system for Windows. And then hopefully I'll do a tour on here a bit. And then we're going to see if we can do MazaCoin. And then if that works, then we're going to do a cool thing that I set up beforehand that I'm pretty much can guarantee work. So the way you do Chocolatey here is Choco install IPFS. I could put a -y here, but honestly it really wouldn't matter too much because I'm going to have to confirm anyhow. So it's saying, do I want to run run everything? I'm going to put A for all for that. So now it's going to install that on our system here, and hopefully the network won't go down and nothing will crash. And it was funny because I was an idiot, like I usually am for a while, and I had a funny incident here where basically for some reason I thought Chocolatey was broken. It turns out it's not broken. Windows was, and Windows 10 basically has its own version of the get me a sandwich doesn't work, sudo get me a sandwich, and the Windows version of that is get me a sandwich, Windows doesn't understand it. Ugh. Get me a sandwich done through administrator and everything works. So that's an issue right there. So let's see here. So what we're going to do, so now that we have Chocolatey installed, we should be able to do kind of the setup here for IPFS. So let's go through that here. So let's see. So I think we did the latest version, so I don't think we have to update. So first we're gonna have to initiate all of this here. So just give me one moment. So the first thing we're gonna, if we did this right and everything is properly installed, we're going to do IPFS init, and I just want to double check something here. So you're gonna kind of see, so let's say IPFS init, and it's gonna generate everything, and that's that right there. That's our whole key system here. That's our public key because we should have a separate private key. I'm gonna copy that over later. And now that we have that set up here, let's see. Let me just double check something. I don't know why you said Moon, but I have a friend who goes by the name Moon Pie, and I kind of miss them right now. So now that we have that generated, what we should be able to do is be able to clear this, and we should also be able to use the IPFS ID, which should show us the ID there really quick. Someone messaged me, and then yes, that's their stage name is Moon Pie, and they're really awesome. They work at Lucky 13s, and I miss them. They're actually going to be there tomorrow, and if I have some cash, I might come out and see them, because they're all the way out in Brooklyn. I'm in Jersey City. I basically have to fight all the way through Manhattan in order to get there, and New Jersey and New York's crappy transportation, so that's like a whole ordeal. And I think we're also on track for doing the lemons right at 10:30, so this should be pretty neat. So let's see here. I'm trying to remember how you actually start this whole thing here, because it's been a while. So what we can do here is, I believe the next step is, well, let's just see if it can actually we can actually do the output of the init. So let's see if that works here. So we're going to do IPFS cat/IPFS. Trying to remember what is the hash for the welcome thing here. Let me just double check to look, because I think they put it here. Oh, okay, I see the hash. All right, so I'm going to copy and paste this hash over. Actually, I can do the whole line here. So cat, we should be able to use cat in order for it to say, hey, look at everything in this text. If it doesn't, then that might be a Windows thing. So we're gonna we're gonna attempt to do that here. So IPFS cat, and then this should be able to load everything in there. Okay, yeah, I don't. Yeah, that I think I just ran to a Windows thing here. Yeah, because I think that's like a Linux feature. We'll be able to see that later when we get to do like the whole cool thing there. But yeah, that's that. Now what should really test this out is we should be able to run the daemon. Now this is the thing where we get to stress test our streaming network here. So the daemon is something that runs in the background, which will allow us to join our current IPFS node to the public network. So, and also I should just be able to type in IPFS and get like a list of commands. So yeah, it is, everything's properly installed. So let's run this daemon in the background and then cross our fingers that nothing crashes. So here we go. We're initializing the daemon. My firewall just yelled at me. I'm going to allow it access. We're going to give it like a minute or two on here. So the daemon is running, which means that now I have to tempt fate again and run an administration, yet another PowerShell instance, for which I am going to go back, and now that you see the daemons running, I'm going to switch the display to one of the two different screens here. There we go. So, sorry if this seems kind of a little slow here. This is why I usually don't like doing terminal stuff, because when I'm not streaming, I'm like super fast. But like when it hasn't been a while doing something, I'm on stream, I'm like, which is why the January through March/May is going to kill me. Because when we're doing so many different things. So, now that it's running, let's see if it's running well enough that we can get some peers going. So we do that command by doing IPFS swarm peers. And this should hopefully tell us how many peers have swarmed in. Hopefully it's a couple. We have a bunch. All right, so wow. Okay, so that's nice to know. That is a lot of peers we kind of connected to here. I'm gonna clear that out. Now, cat didn't work before, but I'm just gonna just for my own curiosity, I'm gonna see if we can actually get something here through terminal. So that should hopefully bring a cat JPEG. Okay, and we should be able to do open cat JPEG. Yeah, unfortunately that works. It doesn't work that way. It's a Windows thing. Let's see. Oh, we can also send, I forgot about this, we can also send objects through the network here. So in order to do that, let's see here, I believe we can do hash, it's this one. Actually, just because this thing is kind of a two-part command here, I'm going to just copy and paste this section here because I have this in my notes. So hopefully that should work. That should allow us to write a I heart IPFS and then add that in. Let's see if that will actually work in PowerShell. It unfortunately doesn't work in PowerShell. This is going to be my limit because my whole thing was IPFS is running and it works. The issue we have here is that if everything all else fails, and we're going to kind of semi-do this in a moment, I was going to actually load up a, where the heck is my logo? I was actually going to load up a, just trying to do some house cleaning here. I would have actually loaded up a VM which actually takes a decent amount of resources on this machine, and I just want to move this logo a little bit, expand a little bit down like that, and then move that a little. There we go. That looks more. Oh. No. One of these days, I've only been using OBS for what, like 8 months. One of these days, I'll actually know how to use it. There we go. And then let me, I think you can see PowerShell kind of, but let me just shrink it just a little bit so you can see the top of it. Okay, there we go. That's a little bit of a better view. So, I was going to open up a VM and show you guys what I mean. I could still technically, what we'll do is some of this base stuff here, we can actually go through this. In fact, we should check because I already installed Go earlier, but let's see, Go version. Yep, and we have it there. So when we do the cool thing later, and trust me, you're gonna want to stick around for this. And I think we're between 10:30 and 10:40. We'll do the lemons thing. We will do this. Oh, I forgot about installing Fuse. Do I really need to do this? Let me just double check here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just gonna skip this step. Hopefully it doesn't bite me in the butt too much. But yeah, we will explore some of these like basic things that we were trying to do earlier with cat and stuff on the cool thing that we are doing later. So don't worry about that. But we have the terminal version. Another cool thing which I will bring up in a moment is even if you have the terminal version here, there is a web GUI that you can access through the browser here. So I'm going to open a new tab, and we're going to go back to the browser mode. There we go. And we're going to try to attempt to access this main terminal here. And you can see that whole code here is that's the actual hash for our current terminal here. So we have a ton of peers that we're connected to. It's right now trying to do the bandwidth. The outgoing bandwidth is probably going to be really awful, and the incoming bandwidth is also now going to be awful because we're currently live streaming. But hopefully that won't be a whole thing there. And we can hit this Explore tab here. We have different markets we could check out. Again, we can look at our peers from here. We can do different settings. 402 peers. We're 2 peers away from being 404 peers right here. But yeah, this is a nice little web terminal. So even if you don't have the desktop application to run this, you can kind of get this through. And I think that was the INCENT reward. So go download that if you're on the INCENT network. We've been doing that all stream. So now I'm going to what's the next thing I was going to do here is, now that we have everything properly installed and the daemon's running. Oh, one more thing. You can get an add-on for Chrome and Firefox for IPFS. And this is the IPFS companion for Firefox. We're going to install this right now. And because you're in browser mode, you won't actually see the pop-up here for the install, but I swear that we're actually installing this. So it just installed here. I'm going to allow it to do private windows as well. The extension's going to open it to its own window, which is basically kind of a mirror of the status window we were looking at earlier. Or at least it should be. There we go. It's basically saying, hey, here's how all of this stuff works. And we're going to save that page for possibly later. Yeah, and we can see we have the peers. Instead of going through that browser, we have everything connected up here. I'm actually going to now see if this stream will actually show the little box or not. Yeah, it doesn't show the box. In order to do the box, so I have a backup for this. In order to show you what I mean by this, I'm going to turn off the browser, and I'm going to do something nuts. And here we go to, wow, we're doing display capture here. How about them apples? Behind display capture here, you can see we have our own IPFS logo here. And similar to the web browser part, we can go to any page. I can go to any of the pages that we were on here. Let's go back to Maz's website, and bam, we can check how many peers that we have. We can enable or disable it. We can look at all the different node connections, and if you're on an IPFS thing, you can copy shareable links and IPF paths and stuff like that. I'm going to do a bit more when we get into the special thing, and in order to do the special thing, let's go back to MazaCoin and see if we can actually link up with this through the client. If we can't get this through the client, I will then have to install the desktop, which is the web gateway. And remember, I haven't done this through MazaCoin yet. Hopefully all the files are actually still on there. So we're gonna find this out. So basically we have an option of doing it in browser and in terminal. I'm going to attempt to try to do this in terminal. If that doesn't work, we're going to do this in browser here. And again, if you really like the content that you see on this show as I go back to browser mode, don't forget to hit that bell, click like, share, and subscribe on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube. If you are on Twitch, you can scroll below, and we have a little widget there to donate to our RAIN charity. That RAIN stands for Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. We're trying to fight sexual abuse across the United States, across the nation, because sexual abuse, as you know, with the Weinstein-Epstein cases, and Trump and Clinton, are completely out of control. Someone just asked, so is IPFS like ZFS over That's a good question. Trying to remember exactly what ZFS is. I would say I think the overall thing is I would say yes. That it's similar to over ISCSI. The thing about it is it's similar to ZeroNet. I guess you could say it's kind of in between doing ZFS with that configuration and ZeroNet, in that with IPFS, if you saw when we installed the package, even if we were to build that package from scratch on Linux, we everything was already involved. So we had all the command lists, the daemons. We didn't really had to configure anything. You can configure things in IPFS, but the defaults, they all work out of the box. With ZFS, as you noted, you have to actually set that to follow SCSI in order to transmit stuff over. So with my limited knowledge about ZFS, because I've only used it once or twice, I've used IPFS more. It's been a while. I would say overall the concept's kind of the same, but I think one, IPFS is more closer to what ZeroNet's trying to be, where it's using well, what it's doing is it's using, instead of using blockchain to verify users and then torrenting the files, it's torrenting the files, but it's actually verifying the files itself. There's no users, it's verifying the files. You're just an anonymous person flying on the internet using the hashes as opposed to making them users as a part of its chain system. And also that basically IPFS, everything comes out of the box. If you want to do crazy stuff, you can configure it afterwards. But for ZFS, while you, I guess, have more control over stuff, you do have to configure it over SCSI and other various peer connection platforms in order to make that work. So now that I've answered your question, here's the link for if you're on DLive or YouTube where you can donate to the charity. If you're on Twitch, you can scroll below and there's a little widget box there. If you also want to follow along with the code, we also have a widget on Twitch for GitHub in which you can check out the code without leaving the stream. And if you follow us on Twitch, DLive, or YouTube, or even on, well, soon, next time, if you're on Facebook, I'll notice. And I hope it's you donate $1, $5, hopefully $10, because I really want to make that halfway point for the stream, to our rain charity. We get pop-up notifications for those, and I cheer everyone on. And we keep doing the incense things, and I believe I'm going to do it at 10:35, let's put it. At 10:35, if not 10:30, we are going to do the lemon distribution. So if you're on DLive, stick around. We will be distributing lemons there through our treasure test system, and then we're going to raid some stream on Twitch and then end all of this. So this will be kind of neat. And so thank you for watching so far. I just wanted to shout that. And unfortunately, nature calls, so I actually might have to go to the bathroom in a minute. So we'll do this, and then I'll take a short break in order to pee and rehydrate. And hopefully I'm not doing those at the same time. And then we're going to do a really cool thing with IPFS, kind of give you a taste of what like early next year is going to kind of look like. And then I think we'll be good with this stream. So let's see. So again, we have the IPFS gateway or the IPFS client. Let's see if it is possible to do this just with the client, because if we can't do this with the client, we will totally do this directly through the web interface. So we do have the daemon running. Let me just double check my notes here. So we're going to try to do IPFS get, and we're going to do this URL. I don't think we need the HTTP, so I will get rid of that. And let's cross your fingers to see if this works. Invalid path. Okay, so let's go back to that. Let's add some things around here. I might just be able to put the actual hash in here and get this to work, because again, it's just been a while. So it's trying to look for it right now. I may have put the command in wrong, so just cross your fingers here. This is where the fun begins. So much fun things to do. And then we'll do a bit more testing when we get to the other thing, because that will be in Linux. And that will be like a legit fun thing to look at. Oh, another crazy thing about it too is that, which is something which kind of gives a hint of what we're about to do next. You can also host your own IPFS, your own public nodes, because again, this is normally peer-to-peer. But if you want to like put your file out there where people, even if they're not on IPFS, can access it, there are node hops. So for example, IPFS has its own one. You probably saw that URL there, ipfs.io/IPFS. I'll actually show you what that looks like on here if you enter it in browser. So That's the PDF for the actual white paper for it. And then another unique one is there's a couple of third-party ones that aren't run through IPFS, and probably the most notorious one is that Cloudflare has its own gateway system. So I just entered that, and it's the same document, but I just wanted to show that you can do those type of nodes. And we're going to actually, speaking of those nodes, we'll probably do something really cool shortly. And I just realized that I didn't put the code on the screen yet. So let's go back to, which page were we on? This page, and let's go into OBS and open the PowerShell, and it is still trying to find this thing in the command. I don't know if the data is that huge or we entered something in wrong. I think, unfortunately, what we're going to probably have to do here is I'm going to do something really awful that you shouldn't do, and I'm actually going to close out of this. And, yep, now that one is there. So that's the Damien still running. And what we're going to actually do, unfortunately, because I'm semi-defeated, is we are going to go through, instead of the client, we're going to go through the web gateway and try to do this. So we have the daemon running in the background, as you saw earlier, and we're going to open this, and hopefully the file is still there. So let's find out. Okay, so this is MazaCoin's entire wallet system and blockchain right here. And by the way, these are all of the hashes here. So actually, we may have just put the wrong hashes in here. And our co-founder just came back, and watch out, don't step on this laptop. So let's see. What you do is you get that SIG, you verify with GPG, and okay, so we're actually going to go back. I'm going to open up a new PowerPoint here, and apparently we're going to try to see if one of their provided hashes actually works. So it's just bothering me about running an administrator or not. So let's bring back PowerShell here, and let's make it point to the one that we just opened. It should be that. There we go. And let's try one of these hashes that it provided for us, just to see if it works. So this should be the predominant one here, and let's just try this because I'm really curious. So it should be IPFS get, and then that. Let's see if it brings anything back. Or, which it might actually try to depend on us doing cat, which means we wouldn't be able to do it through here, and that could have been the issue. Can you swing the door closed? There's way too much light on the camera right now. So yeah, I think it's going through, because I think what it's probably wanting to do, instead of going directly through the client, it's probably that it needs to load up cat, and then it will actually display the stuff here, and unfortunately we can't do that in PowerShell. So like before, I will cancel that out, and then that's the Damien running. So let's just do, this is going to be the, I guess, the less ham, like cool way to do it, but you know, we already have it running. So this is it through the web browser here. So let's see, we are on Windows, so it's a 90 megabyte file. So we're going to click on that. And then, provided that the file is there, we should be able, you have a setup system here. So just want to make sure we have the right version. That's the signature. We can always go back to the signature later, but in the meantime, I'm actually going to download this. And then we're going to run it. And then I'm going to take a quick pee break. We're going to do the really cool thing that I really can't wait to get to. And that will be it for our episode. So just give it a moment here because it's trying to find it on the system. And actually, just because nature is really calling legit this hard, pun semi-intended, I am going to actually go on the break now while this thing looks for the file install. It'll be about probably like 2 minutes max. And then we will, again, once it loads, we will hopefully get MazaCoin running. And then whether it runs or not, we're going to do another cool thing on IPFS using remote servers and stuff, so that will be neat. So give me a moment and just enjoy the music, and I will be back very shortly. So stay tuned in a bit. So hello everyone again, this is Sidepocket. I'm one of the two co-founders of DEFCON 201, and funny enough, there's now going to be another INCENT reward coming up there in about 24 seconds. So if if you like the INCENT's cryptocurrency, you're getting bits of rewards as we're streaming right now. The code will pop up, you scan the QR code or type in the code at the reward website and you'll earn free cryptocurrency courtesy of us on Crypto Barons. But this is the show Crypto Barons, where I talk about blockchain and cryptocurrency technology as technologies. And right now what we're trying to do is we've connected through IPFS, we're currently through browser, and we are attempting to, and there's the reward, download the Windows setup. Oh, that's actually a big issue. Hang on, let's quickly exit out of that. That was a bad idea. I just realized I actually clicked on the wrong thing there. But we're kind of having a thing here where I don't know if it's IPFS itself, probably is, but let's see, this is odd. It says it's 13 megabytes, but then the zip is 33. I keep forgetting we're on a 64-bit system. So the problem is that we've clicked on this, and and I'm not going to lie, it's going really slow. it is definitely going slow, which is to be expected because that was one of the things we saw about the IPFS video about IPFS is notorious for going really slow. So either the file is not there anymore, or what I'm thinking is that IPFS is just slow as shit. So on this episode, we might unfortunately not get MazaCoin up and running on here. But that's not no fault of the code itself. It's literally because the network is really slow. I will promise that if it is not downloaded or anything by this point, that we will, and I'm actually going to try something else right now, that we will we will try to get this running on our next episode here. So let's see if I can do this. I'm going to put this, I want to try an alternate way to see if I can get this file. See if that works. Yeah, because I'm looking at the data here and it's like it's an unknown time left to install. That's suspicious there. So I'm going to cancel that. If I can cancel it, hopefully. Let's try something else. This is like the equivalent of did you turn your computer on and off again? Let's just do this whole URL. Worst comes to worst, again, I'm about to load up something that should make this pretty engaging and fun, in which every single command should work flawlessly. So honestly, I think it's just being slow, basically. So now we're going to go to an alternate thing. And by the way, another quick thing that I actually found when I was looking for IPFS stuff to show off is that it's funny because we're live streaming. Apparently, you can live stream through IPFS in the same way you can do on HTML, like with things like with Twitch and stuff. Now, because this is IPFS and it's open free software, it's a lot more complicated than what it usually is. And obviously, I am not going to do this setup today, but I just want to make a note that yes, this is a thing, and it also has its own GitHub page. So if you want to look at the code for that, that's not one of the things we've pinned up. But let's see, this is IPFS live streaming tech. You can go look at this GitHub right there. And just because I want the real estate here, I'm also going to repost the link to our rain charity. Again, I would love to reach halfway point before we get to the end of the episode. And in about 3 to 4 minutes, we're gonna hopefully, if there's people on DLive, we're gonna distribute some lemons. But let's do something while we're waiting for this to load, not load. That should be really fun. Regardless, actually, right before we go on, I want to double check something here. I want to see if I just want to see if in the actual GUI menu option, if we can actually do this and not go insane. So let's see. And actually, that's actually, I know I keep saying the word actually like I'm a Linux admin, but let's see. Copy shareable link, copy the IPF, import my node. I just want to see if there's a way through the GUI system itself that that we might be able to download something here. Okay. So we might have a workaround here because what I really want to see here is more of like a progress bar. that I can know to just make sure to see if the network is slow or what the hell is going on here. So let's see if we can do this with the daemon in the background with a URL. So I know that we can't use HTTPS. Let's see, is like the code too long or something? 80. Windows. Okay, I see what's going on here. So in order for that to work, we actually have to do I believe it's going to be the pathway here. So let's see. So IPFS. So let's copy this over. Wonder what this link is. Kind of want to open it just see the. Okay, I guess it's. Is it the same thing? Fable something. Yeah, it's the same thing. I believe it's the same thing. Hang on. I just want to compare the URLs here. Okay, you know what? So the new thing I'm actually going to do is it might be IPFS itself is slow. I'm just curious, and let's see if we might be able to do this, because apparently MazaCoin has its own, or might have its own thing now. So if it does, I'm going to try this, see if it goes any bit faster. I doubt it, but I just want to find out. This is one of those, normally I would have had this installed beforehand, but I really wanted to show the IPFS install. So worst comes to worst, I might spend the time for this download and then show this on our next episode, which I believe is on December 12th, and get this through. But let's in the meantime, as I quickly do this and talk about this, let's distribute some lemons here, and let's then do something extremely cool. So while I distribute the lemons, and I'll talk about this here, so I don't know if anyone is currently on DLive or not, and oh, actually instead of disabling the browser, I should just go to face mode. To face is so we've covered DLive twice here on Crypto Barons, and we did an entire episode dedicated to it, and we sort of shouted out when last episode when we were doing social media stuff, like interactive social media stuff that is based on blockchain technologies. And so every Crypto Barons, we did this once just because we had a good amount of DLive people on our main meeting, and I was in such a good mood that I ended up donating this anyhow. But we usually have an okay amount of lemons. Today, last time we had a ton of lemons. This time we have an okay amount. Next month we'll have a bunch of lemons. Lemons are sort of like, if you use a Twitch, it's like basically those are like the bits that are used on Twitch, except that you could argue that essentially in the hipster way that DLive did it first. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a custom amount here into the pot, and then if anyone is on DLive, I am going to now distribute these right here. So in the next 28 seconds, you should be able to get some lemons on there. And that's kind of the way that works. We do this every Crypto Barons, and we're going to also start doing it during our meetings too, just because we usually get a decent amount of people on DLive during our meetings as well. But enough jib jab. Let's go back to the chat screen here, and let's do something kind of what I think is neat. So I did a bunch of magic beforehand just because I didn't want to risk it, as well as also revealing like private keys and passwords and stuff on the live stream. So I'm going to hopefully get this to point to a different PowerPoint shell than what I'm currently using. Let me just double check. Okay, so there should only be two here. So let's see. Okay, this is kind of odd. So what I think I'm going to have to do here is basically I'm going to cancel the current daemon. So I'm just going to make sure this is going to kind of make let me just remove the browser in the meantime. This is going to kind of make everything freak out. So if you see blackness on the stream, we're still streaming. Nothing's been canceled. I just need to do this for my mental sake here so that I don't go insane. Although the funny thing is, now it seems like it's actually attempting to download something. That's kind of funny. So I'm going to go off stream through IPFS again, and we are going to, what do you call it? Let me just take a sip here. We're going to, there we go. That's good stuff. We are going to, I'll do it off stream, and then on the 12th I'll show, here's MazaCoin. This is kind of what it looked like what I was doing before, because it does work. It's just IPFS, everything's really slow on it. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to kill the Damian process, and I'm going to see if that will now actually allow us to display the window. Yes, it did. So I just have to resize it now, because boy, is that boy huge here. So we're about to do something that, you know, it's not the most elite hacksaw thing in the world, but, you know, as Marge Simpson once said, I just think it's really neat. And hopefully I'll be able to resize that back down. Yep. Make it as big as the previous guy. Move it over to the center. So hopefully everyone can kind of mostly properly see that to some degree. So if you can see, I'm currently local hosting in to a spun up server. I just, a really tiny spun off VM instance I just did on DigitalOcean for really cheap. And so, because I haven't done on this machine, I set up the SSH keys. If you want, I can just quickly blab about like how technically you would do all of that. I just need to get my notes to reload here again. Come on, stop being a dick. Here we go. So like, if you're unfamiliar, SSH is a type of secure tunneling technology. There's various GUIs for it, but you normally do it through the terminal. And it's very similar to what we were talking about, because it's encryption, about the encryption stuff we've said on previous episodes, where once you do it, I'm using OpenSSH. You can also do it through, I am trying to remember, with PuTTY. I don't hate PuTTY, but I just find, just for my basic use of SSH, I usually find OpenSSH just shockingly easier. I know that there are certain things you can try to do with OpenSSH that then make you tear your hair out at an advanced level, but thankfully is not one of them. And so what I essentially did was I got an account on DigitalOcean. I spun up a current version of Ubuntu, just gave it a little tiny memory size and everything just for our purposes. I'm probably going to keep it just so I can do more of the coding stuff that we're going to do starting in January next year, where we're just going to be making D apps all day. I generate an SSH key, so I had to go in now. It's funny because normally you would just do, like, if you didn't have it, like, you know, sudo atp OpenSSH or whatever you would do on Linux, kind of similar with Mac. For Windows 10 actually comes with it, but it's not turned on by default, so you actually have to go into, like, the System Files Program Manager, click on the add-ons, and then enable it in there, and it essentially works. So you're not installing anything, you're just basically turning it on, you know, like what we do on the show. We like turning things on. And you run OpenSSH in the terminal, and then you generate your two keys, and you're given it does two files, a private key and a public key. When you do the DigitalOcean instance, what you didn't see beforehand was that I basically copied the public key's data, so when you open it up like in a text editor, onto what they call a droplet, or essentially a VM instance, and then I could tunnel my way into it. Then I turn on a firewall system, and then I set up, as you notice here, this is called IPFS. This is not root, and even though we have some root privileges on here, this is so that if for some forsaken reason anyone tries to break into this thing, they're going to get this account, which is, regardless, the whole account is very much an easy throwaway. Like, you're not going to make me cry by attempting to pwn it. But just for my own safety, especially with the traceback thing, I basically gave it a public account that we could tunnel into, and I currently just tunneled into that. So what we're going to do on here is we're essentially going to create a public. Oh, there's a new INCENT reward. So if you're on INCENT, you can download that. Also, by the way, I haven't mentioned this all in chat just because I've been so focusing on the terminal stuff. I really hope I'm not going to be like this next year. But I do like talking in the chat, if you've noticed before. So if you have any questions, if you're wondering why my hair is so crazy, why I'm wearing an actual blockchain that's curiously donated to every time on the show by G.I. Jack, what Crypto Barons is, what DC201 is, or just you want to talk about your day or bother me about my day, you can ask me in chat. I love talking with you guys, hashes and blocks out there. Otherwise, I have this saying called, otherwise just keep lurking, keep learning. I assume if you're not saying anything, that must mean you're glued intense to what I'm looking at, and hopefully you're wearing pants and using both hands. That's all I ask for. I'm not going to yell at you if you don't. It's just for my peace of mind to sleep at night. You know, I just hope that it's two hands with pants. So what we're going to do here, if I can just catch up to my notes, which is all the way down here, this is after I secured everything here, is so now that we've tunneled in here, we are now going to attempt to install, well, first of all, I'm trying to think if this is actually, let me open up something really quick, because there's a command I'm supposed to type in, but I just want to make sure that the URL that I picked out is the actual, like, current version. Because the last thing I want to do is install a not so current version out there, and then everything is just sad and nothing will work. So that's what I'm trying to make sure of right now. So if you give me a moment. I also again want to remind people that I love when people follow. So if you click like, share, subscribe on Twitch, Live, or YouTube, I will get notifications for those. I also get notifications if you donate to our RAIN charity, which is the Rape, Abuse, and Incense Network. I have a link into the chat. If you're on Twitch, you can scroll below and there's a widget where you can donate. We are literally $10 away from halfway through our goal. So even if someone download, you wouldn't download $1, would you? No, but if someone... and the question is, we're crypto barons. We download dollars every day, of course. You don't even want to know how many dollars Jeff Bezos downloads directly out of our privacy. But even if you donate $1 and I see it goes to $191, that's just going to make me really happy. So I get notifications for all of those. So I just want to make sure that, okay, so just want to double check here. Yeah, I didn't have the most up-to-date URL on here, so I did recon, and now everything is fine. So we're going to do a bunch of different fun commands here. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get, I'm going to do this the hard way, is the current version of, it's clicking on the wrong thing. Yep, this should be the current version of the, of Golang, because IPFS runs on Golang. And then we are going to now extract it into our little user thing here. So we're going to sudo tar, not tor, tar. I don't know if the keyboard is drunk or my hands are drunk or a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B here. But we'll hopefully get through this. It should be, yep, that should be our extraction. So now we're just going to... actually, there's kind of a faster way for me, at least, of doing this. And I just blot out this URL. That way I don't make any mistakes trying to type the thing. So this will hopefully work. And then we're going to give it its password here. Just give me one moment. Because I do have a very unique password here that will hopefully not show up on here if it behaves. Okay, so let me try an alternate one, unless I copied it wrong. Okay, so we have an error here. Let me just make sure I typed everything in correctly here. This is exactly why I really hate doing terminal stuff. Because, one, I haven't literally done this sort of thing in a while. And, two, is that... the funny thing is, like, you know, I normally don't get stage fright for things, if you want to put it that way. But if there is a thing that absolutely gets me kind of a bit of stage fright, it's hands down trying to do terminal and programming stuff. Okay, that works. Trying to do programming and terminal stuff live on a stream or a stage, and I can tell you right now that the pure exact reason why that this does not work. Let me just figure something out here. That I'm like that is because I'm so used to like some of the older hacker and DEFCON days where, you know, even if you have an honest mistake or something's wrong with your system, that something didn't work, someone would throw an empty beer bottle at you, which that's not like an exaggerated like hacker, like, oh, back in the day I'm trying to make like noobs freak out. No, that stuff actually did happen, including speakers just passing out in the middle of their talk. Less so at Hope, more at DEF CON and SummerCon and RubyCon sort of thing. So let's let me see here. I'm actually kind of very curious right now, and I want to see if I can do this basically another way here. Let's give us a moment here. Just want to make sure that I am not going like more insane than what I'm used to going insane. So I'm just quickly, what you're not seeing here is I'm doing some Google foo here to look this up. All right, so I just want to make sure here. So it's sudo tar sc user local xvxs. And I got that, but let's see, it's not in grip format. I wonder why this is not. I have a feeling that at any moment now, GI Jack is going to, because my brain's dying, is going to like pop out of this room and then like inform me about like what am I doing wrong. Let's see here, because this looks about the way you would actually go and install this stupid thing. And then people wonder why Go drives me absolutely freaking bonkers. All right, I'm gonna try a huge vomit of possible commands to do. So bear with me here. This is where Sidepocket really looks like a noob that doesn't know Linux, but basically right now is that my brain is dying. So we're gonna attempt to do this here, and hopefully not destroy ourselves in the process. Okay. And also, what's also difficult to do here is that I can't wait to get a USB. What do you call it? A USB multi-tap here. I'm an old person, so I call it a multi-tap like it's a gaming peripheral. But I can't wait to get a multiple USB hub because unfortunately this PC only has 2 ports on it for USB, and that makes me a sad panda. Let's recorrect this here. Should have correct this. Okay. Let's try this again. There we go. Hopefully it's alright. That should work. Because basically my brain is fried and I have not installed the language from scratch in a while. You remember the episode where I tried to do Rust, and I'm actually shocked of how far we got through that before I ended up just crying. Alright, this might be a better method of using WeGet here. Alright, so that should have actually did it. Alright, thank frickin' Lord. Alright, so now if we did this all correct here, we should be able to modify a file here. Good. Okay. So this is where I get to do a little bit more copy pasta here, and we're going to add 3 important lines at the bottom, which basically is going to be able to allow us to open pathways where we'll be able to interface with IPFS and also launch home properly. Let's see. So we added that here, and then we're going to add 1 more extra line. So that was just to open up the pathways, and then So as you can see here, the path to user local bin, and then go to path which will put us at home, and then connect those together. And then we're going to add one more line here, which is this directory. There's a custom path. I'm trying to remember if this is, hold on. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, I forgot. I'm an idiot. What we're doing here, we're going to set that up later. We actually don't need the custom path here. So these base end lines, because we're gonna configure that because we already have it at the default. We're not doing anything crazy with it. This should actually be perfectly fine. I forgot because normally I had all these lines pre-added to make sure I didn't screw up, and I forgot. Oh yeah, well I copied that in there. I forgot to I didn't modify it because we're not gonna do anything crazy. So now we're going to save it, and now we're going to reload our profile here. So we're gonna do this right at the source. It's like the fourth Matrix movie, The Source. We're going to use or like Spaceballs, we're going to reload the Schwartz here. Okay, so that should have done it. So we're going to see if it loaded by doing the classic type in the thing you're trying to look up and ask for what version it is. So let me just go back just to make sure it actually custom path file, the path file here actually worked. So let me just double check here. So no. Pretty sure there's probably like advanced computer users right now who are just watching me squirm while I do this as my eyes slowly dip into my skull. Let's see. Ah, okay. We're going to try this one more time, and I think I may have just figured out what's going stupid here for some reason. First of all. Alright, so that should be at the bottom here, and then we should be able to save this. There we go. That's what was missing last time. Alright. Yeah, basically, I shouldn't have added that backtrace there. Also, currently IPFS was doing a doing a daemon update in the background, so it wasn't allowing us to actually edit the thing. So now we should be able to reload the profile here, and hopefully everything should work now. Yes. Okay. So as you can see right there, Go is installed, and now I'm going to do a resizing trick because I want to clear. I want to be tidy and clear a terminal thing. Okay, so I also did that correct. All right, so now that we have Go properly on here, we are going to do IPFS entirely through this terminal, which also means the previous commands that didn't work should work. And I think we're going to probably wrap up like around 11 here, so that should be fun. So the first thing we're actually going to do here is, and this is why we had to, geez, why is it doing this? This is the reason why we had to install Go in the first place, is we're going to be using the go get command. So we're going to go get her done, and we're going to get the IPFS update little program here for our server. And just give it like a minute for that. And then I just want to check because we should not be running any. Yep, IPFS is off on our side, but we're going to actually install it on our little VM over here. So just give it a moment here, and I'm going to actually use this moment to once again remind people that we are raising funds for RAIN, which is the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. Now, I know that is a lot of, okay. So that was a bunch of errors. Just double check that I did everything correct again. I might have to reload it again, but I'm just gonna copy directly from my notes here and pray that this works. If not, I probably have a URL that's off, which means I have to go and double check. Because I have to remember, I didn't think I had the right URL before. Yeah, for Golang, and then it turned out that I actually didn't have it, so I'm gonna actually have to recheck that URL as well. So just give me a moment. But as I'm saying that, we are raising funds for that. We are literally only $10 away from our halfway goal here, and even if it only goes up to $191, I will be very happy with this. Now, I know we're crypto barons, but unfortunately, we are doing fiat money with this. But that shouldn't be too big of a deal because we're using Tiltify, which is a great third party where we don't handle any of the money ourselves. And even if it goes to $191, I will be very happy. And all the current money and any money you donate in the future before the end of the month will go straight to RAIN, which will help to put up their 24-hour hotline network, their phone call in network, as well as let me just double check something here, as well as various physical and with social distancing and remote and internet resources to identify sexual abuse, how to prosecute sexual abusers, what if you are in sexual abuse or know someone who's suffering from sexual abuse, things like that. So let me just try to figure this out here. So that's the desktop. I have the link in chat where you can download if you're on D Live or YouTube or Facebook. If you are on Twitch, you can scroll down. We have actually a little widget that will help that you can update for. Also, if you like this show and this content and watching me fumble around through basic, oh, this is going to be annoying, basic command line stuff and PowerShell of all things, you can hit that bell and like button and find us on Twitch D Live, YouTube, or join on Facebook. If you do Twitch D Live or Facebook, or send us things like lemons and super chats, and that should find it. Yeah. Oh, okay. That would explain why there's possibly an issue here. That explains a lot. Let me just do a general search, and I'll explain why in a moment. But we get notifications for those. Same thing if you donate to RAIN for our charity, and then I will cheer you on and love you forever for it. And we always shout out who does that. So let's see. So I finally found the thing. So that was worrisome. So let's see here. I just want to make sure I have because I have a feeling I don't have the correct URL. So let's see. Code. All right, that seems to be the correct URL. So I just want to double check to make sure. So the way it should show up there again is go get you, and then we're just going to do the full URL and see. I think we just do without get and see if it does it. Okay, it's an invalid path. Let's just remove the HTTPS from this, see if that changes anything. It really shouldn't, but all right, so now it's going to try to go look for this. If not, we will. Okay, so I think what we're going to do instead is we are going to install it like the way we previously how we previously were installing it on here, which is through the Go lang command line through this. So we're gonna look up the command line install here. So let's see. I want to double check. Okay, so that's not it. So let's see. Oh man. All right. So I think what's driving me nuts here. So let's see. Go. You need to add Go bins directory to your path. All right. Trying to think here. Let me just double check my notes because basically they have a different install method here, and I'm basically trying to figure out exactly which way I should do it. So this is this is even though this is what I wrote down here is the old way, and here comes the INCENT reward in 10. I did it early. There it goes. So if you have INCENT, you can go, and I think it's actually this way, and check it and scan the QR code or type in the URL and get the reward for that. So what's driving me crazy is that I'm trying to see the two different ways to do this. Worst comes to worst, we might be able to build this from source. If not, what I'm also looking at is, let's see here, so I need to install Go, and I just want to double check to make sure if we did those right lines for the bin directory here. Okay, so we're going to have to go back, and we might have to, I just want to double check here, just go path. Okay. Export path, go bin. I'm going to try, we're going to go back and we're going to modify. This really shouldn't affect it a lot, to be honest. But we're going to actually go back in, and we're going to, remember those last 3 lines? We're going to go and we're going to delete those last 3 lines. And I just want to try a completely different, not completely different, but essentially a different line arrangement than what we typed in. So I'm actually just going to flat out, again, so I don't make any mistakes here, just going to copy pasta these 2 export parameters into here, and we're going to see if that works. So we're going to save, it's the same file, and then we're going to go in and we are going to reload from source, .profile, and then we should be able to go version, and we're up to date on that. So let's try this thing again. Let's try the go get thing again with that, and if that doesn't work, we unfortunately might have to build this either from source, or something which I really don't want to do on my small guy is we might have to actually install Snap and install it. Not that it didn't work. Install Snap, because my thing is usually when I'm thinking of like building from source, usually build from source takes like 5 million years, so I really don't want to build it from source. Normally you would just do the IPFS update and run everything. Although now I'm wondering now if I should just git clone it and then go in there and then just do all the commands. We could also possibly try that. I just want to double check something here. So, okay, no, the go get thing should have completely installed through that. So let's see. I don't know why it does not want to work here. So we did this correctly, and now what we're going to do is I'm just gonna let's see how long it actually takes from build from source. If not, we will give up from here. So I'm going to git clone this over. We're going to do ct go IPFS. We're going to do make install. And we don't have the make command in here. Oh yeah, I forgot. I just made this new. This is wonderful. So actually, let's try these alternatives. Sudo apt install make. Let's hope one of these works. Okay, so now it's making this. This really shouldn't, see, that's what I mean. It really shouldn't take long. So that was that. Now let's see if we're able to do the rest of the stuff here. So normally I should be able, I'm going to double check to see if I can actually CD out of this and then just do the normal IPFS command. If not, I actually will have to CD into the folder again. Yeah, let's, nope, CD go IPFS. Let's try that command again. Okay, so trying to figure out why there's not a problem. I really don't want to hog resources and install Snap on here. That's like, that would be honestly, it would probably be the easiest method, but it would like absolutely really drive me crazy, especially since the Go part should just install. Let me just look up some things on my notes here that I wrote that possibly could deal with this. So let's figure this out. Da-da. Let's see, install pre-built packages. All right, I'm going crazy. We're gonna attempt to try this here, folks. Oh, duh. This is what happens when you do this way late at night. Oh, okay. Shoot. So this actually might work. If this works, then it'd be hilarious that, you know, in Linux fashion, we did this the hard way this entire time. All right, so now hopefully now, we will actually be able to run this IPFS init. Yep, we did it. We did it. Yay. So it was snapped this entire time. Good effing job with all of my craziness. All right, so we're gonna clear our way out of this and do the resizing trick again. So we're gonna stay on for a couple of more minutes here. Again, if anyone has any questions about what I'm doing, or why my hair is just crazy, or why I'm wearing a literal blockchain, please let me know in chat. Otherwise, keep lurking, keep learning. And again, I would really love to see at least $1 get donated for the RAIN charity we're doing, which is the Rape, Abuse, Incest National Network to fight against sexual abuse for people across this great nation, whether you're white, black, man, or a woman, or something in between, or adult, or a child. Unfortunately, sexual abuse is everywhere in this country, and we're trying to combat that, and that's what we're donating for. And again, I have the donation link in here. If you're on Twitch, you can scroll below and click on it. So funny enough, I did not realize that Snap was already installed on here. So now that we have that running and we properly initted this, let's see here. So we're going to increase the repo size here. So we're going to use the entire storage for this. So IPFS config data storage max, and we're going to give it the 20 gigs. Because I can always either take this off or just spin up a new instance here. So, okay, so that works. And now we're going to attempt, and then we should be done with the episode, to run the daemon in here. So to note that if we get this running, a key thing about this is that that it will shut down. That if we currently exit our SSH section here, we can do that by creating a systemd service in Ubuntu to keep stuff running in the background, which is actually pretty much the last thing we're going to do here. So after that annoying pop-up happens, I just want to double check to make sure we have some audio going on here. Running in the back. Perfect. We are going to go and run this. Okay, we're actually going to edit this first. So we're going to type this thing in here. So the way we're going to clear this out is we're going to do sudo. We're going to use nano again because that's default. It should be in the etc section. Systemd system, and it should be IPFS. My brain just died. Service section. Okay, so now we made a new. That should be our new file in here. And we're going to enter all of this stuff in here, except I'm going to make one modification, which is, this is known as IPFS. And our environment is IPFS. And we are again IPFS because Matt was the default here for all this programming. So now we're going to save out of this, and hopefully that should do that. Okay. And now we're going to run 3 commands. So we're going to do sudo system ctl. We're going to reload the daemon, even though I don't think it was running. Okay. Now we're going to do another systemd command, and we're going to enable IPFS. Let's try that again because I may have failed to type something somewhere unless I didn't actively failed unit. Multi-user, what did I screw up with here? Multi-user target. It's not. Oh, duh, hang on. I made a typo. I made a typo. Save this now, and that should work. Okay, see, that worked. When I'm awake and I don't have terrible spelling. And now we're going to start, since now it is basically a systemd command, fs, and it should be running in the background now. And we can tell if it's running in the background because if we do another system D command and check the status of it. All right, so it failed. Huh. All right, let's try starting again. We might have to give it a couple of moments before it actually loads. So we'll check in a moment, and if it actually works, we should be able to. And actually, we should know if it works. Is let's see if there was any swarm peers left. So let's see if there's any peers we've connected to so far. Hold on. Oh, okay, so we have to run the daemon first. So it didn't load. All right. What did I do wrong here? Let me just double check the code that I wrote in the little text, little nano edit that we made there, which is probably like the bane of my existence. So let's see, we did the unit. Yep, that's Damien. And we declared service. And it's simple. So that enables the GC at that URL link here. And then we are in IPFS. And then it restarts always. And then we're at the IPS path, home. That should be IPFS. And then we are wanted by that. And yeah, that should be it. Did that even save? Yeah, that we didn't add anything, so it didn't even save. So I'm just gonna go through the steps again, just to make sure I didn't screw anything up too permanently here. So we're going to reload the daemon again, right? And then we're going to enable it to run again. And now we should be able to start it, and it should just start running in the background without a need to severing a connection. And we're going to give it a minute, and then if it's correct, we should be able to check the status on it, and everything should be connected and running. If not, well, we gave it a good college try, but we're trying to run our own independent node on here. If not, I might just run the daemon anyhow, and we might be able to check the swarm peers, and we might be able to remote log in into another user account on here and check the swarm peers on it, and then we might be able to do the MazaCoin thing on here. So let's see. So why is it failing the exit code? Start request repeated to quickly. So it might just take a while to load this. It's because of the way it's set up here. I'm actually going to just run the Damien just to see if it's just working. So I'm actually going to clear everything out and do the little resize trick again. We're almost done here on the show. Thank you, by the way, for everyone currently who's watching. I'm not going to go off yet, but okay, so the Damien is running. And basically it is running, but again, if we exit our SSH section with the droplet, the SSH will shut down. So I'm actually going to use this opportunity, because this is the only workaround I can think about without doing the other method, of opening up yet again another Windows PowerShell, and we're going to SSH into our system as a different user here, and I just want to switch the screen over right now. So we should have another PowerShell open. Let's see. There we go. And we're going to attempt to SSH into here. So just give me a moment here. So what I'm actually going to do right now is I'm going to just temporarily flick the PowerShell off. And then it shouldn't really matter, but just as a cursory thing, I'm going to run these commands. Huh, that's weird. Why did that not? Oh, here comes an INCENT reward, everyone. Get your stuff ready. There it goes. You can go download your INCENT cryptocurrency reward right there. Let me double check. Why does this not want to work right now? It should be the way you would enter it. Hang on. So let's try. Oh, that's really weird. Let me try getting rid of this part of the command. All right, let me just look up something here. Might be that whole Damien running thing. Yeah, I think it's basically because I can't run them side by side, sadly, right now, which is unfortunate. Because I was really excited to show doing the command stuff. I basically have to kind of figure out what I'm doing wrong. I mean, I'm actually going to focus on the next 2 minutes, and then if I can't figure it out, I'm just going to end the episode here. Which is fine, because we got at least really close to getting something to work on here. So that's at least good. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't think the window here is having it. So yeah, I have to figure out off cam on how to install in the background. So I'm just gonna close the SSH connection here. So yeah, that was the stream. I hope you guys learned a lot about IPFS. I have no idea why none of this was working properly, but that's always a given on Crypto Barons. And so I want to point out 2 last things before we end our show. One, once again, is that thank you for all tuning in. Even if I'm not streaming, you can totally donate to the Rain charity at the link I did below, and you can scroll down on Twitch. We're also going to raid a Twitch channel in a moment for everyone who's currently on Twitch TV. Our next Crypto Barons will be on December 12th, and on December 12th, that's the second Saturday of December, We're going to talk about scams, cryptocurrency scams that have happened and how they happen and what to look out for a cryptocurrency scam, as well as we're going to finally get into different methods that hackers use in order to break into wallets and disrupt blockchains. That's going to be a fun episode. And then on December 26th, which will be our last episode, it's the last thing before really New Year's. That'll be again December 26th. That's the fourth Saturday of the month. We're going to do a very festive stream the day after Christmas, and we're going to talk about, which funny enough they do exist, religious cryptocurrencies. Cryptocurrencies that were founded by religious and religious fanatics, basically Temple OS, but with blockchain. And I have a couple lined up there that I think everyone's jaws are going to drop when they see what they are. The very last thing here that I'm actually going to grab the camera for is that we are still doing this, and I'll put the URL up, I guess, in a second. This is my computer. I can't get the wallet running anywhere else, but we have been using Pinkcoin in order to raise funds for the COVID relief via WHO. And we currently have a lot in there. I think that's like $200+ in there, but we are still collecting coin. And I will say that because just I haven't been able to get it to the exchange before the 12th. So I would say by the 9th, which would be Hack All and Commanders episode, we are going to finally convert that into fiat cash and donate that to COVID relief finally. I've been doing it for like half a year now, and I'm so glad that we get to do that. Anyhow, that was basically our show. I hope you all learned stuff. I know I sound very bleh because, terminal stuff, and it makes me all iffy. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Twitch, and we're going to find a channel that is currently on here that we can raid. So I'll give a little bit for that. And again, if you really like Crypto Barons, or you're so excited, because I know we might be doing a specialty stream on the 4th. If not, we're going to try to get a specialty stream going either on Wednesday or Thursday night. Hack All and Commander should be back on... Actually, I think he mentioned he's either going to be back December 2nd or December 9th. I'm going to aim for December 2nd. And Archvile Linux Perspective will be back sometime. That's usually the second and similar to we're the second and fourth Saturday every month. He is the second and fourth Friday of every month. Thursday of every month. Second to fourth Thursday every month at 7 p.m. He's the only one that's not at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, like all of our shows. And then next Saturday, not tomorrow, but the following Saturday, right? We are going. Ooh, here's the thing we can raid. Is my other show called Master of Unlocking, and I have some stuff in the mail that I'm really excited about. I don't have it physically with me this lock, but basically, if you are into lockspore and lockpicking, definitely check out this stream, and I have a feeling this is going to be a very educational and fun stream, because I basically have ordered a set of bypasses. So I'm going to teach people, and by the way, thank you, Wantoon, for following us 4 hours ago. I appreciate that there. I don't know why I missed the notification for that, but I guess I have to reload them all later on. So we're going to learn bypasses. So it's not going to be picking locks. We're going to learn how to manipulate the mechanized systems that hold the lock together in order to open it without trying to single pin pick with tension our way through. So that's going to be really fun. We're not going to cover every bypass, but it's going to be a bunch of them. And then look out for a couple of specials. Look out for the main DEFCON website and live streams for something that we can't wait to announce. DEFCON actually did announce it, but we haven't announced our involvement yet, but they are going to announce something, and they will announce our involvement in it that I can't wait for. And for everyone who follows on EFF, because we are an Electronic Frontier Alliance member or an EFA member, which is a subsection of the EFF that they sort of do like EFF stuff, and the EFF just provides resources. They're not like our boss or anything. We plan on doing something really cool with them too. Maybe even more than once. But yeah, December is going to be really busy. That was it for Crypto Barons. We're going to go raid this awesome channel. I'm Sidepocket, one of the two co-founders of DEFCON 201. Hack the Planet, Dirty Jersey represent, and I will see all of you blocks and hashes in the near future. Have a good blockchain. Hope you had a good, safe Thanksgiving. Hope you didn't buy anything on Black Friday. And enjoy the outro music as we end the show here. Peace, everyone. See you next time.
in your eyes. There's a world out there you've never seen before. I too was blind until I stepped outside and opened up that door. I see the hesitation to make a choice that's wrong, but give in to all temptation and all these fears are gone. Light up the sky, we're gonna fly tonight. Rise up, it's over, there's no place to hide.